Okay, everyone, I am just doing a additional mic test just to make sure that this one's working. I have it fully charged, so we should have a good. Looks pretty good. Awesome. I think I can hear myself. Regardless, I can hear myself good enough, and good enough is all we are shooting for today. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me on this second day, this All Souls Day. Yesterday was All Saints Day. Today is All Souls Day. So if you practice that kind of stuff, which I do, some people might call this whatever it's in Spanish, but the Day of the Dead. This is one of the 3 days of the Day of the Dead. Days of the Dead. Ginormous popcorn clouds up there, so you can see kind of popcorny, like a interesting blue sky dot there in the middle of the popcorn. Yeah, very popcorny sky. No popcorny sky over here as well. And some if you can speak over there, you got some of the lines. I don't have a good name for those yet. We're just gonna call those the lines. So okay, so today we're gonna talk about how not to get rich, but how to thrive. And you might be wondering, Doc, I want to be rich. And that's cool if you want to be rich. I'm not condemning or saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying other things in life. I think wealth, especially quality. Whoa, that's the sky, not me. I think quality wealth is far more important than some silly little pieces of paper or a couple, pieces of property that might actually lose its value, or, having too many stocks and bonds, but having wealth. And there's lots of ways to build wealth. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about ways to build wealth. We're going to talk about why I homestead, why I live out here in the middle of nowhere, why I made this choice, why I think this choice is good for me and might be good for some of you, and why don't be afraid to make absolutely crazy drastic changes. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. As we get everybody fed, we're going to touch up on looking at the bees, the ducks and the chickens and Sylvia, and the coldest night we've had so far. It was chilly. It was I don't know how chilly it was. It was like 19 or something. So I think it's like -4°C or something for you guys. You can see it doesn't work with cold. It only works with hot. Anyways, yeah. So all that wonderful stuff. Let's see. Where should we start today? Where should we start on our fun adventures today? First, let's go say hi to Sylvia, because she's out and about, and she's not always out and about, easy to see. So easy to see. She's just sitting out here, chilling out. You can see Sylvia just sitting there chilling in the sun. I just gave her some food a little bit ago, trying to convince her that she should not go for a walk. She should not get out, because that would just not be bueno today. Not be looking forward to chasing the big pig around. So, let's go grab the water over and get that started. So, well, okay, so I'm gonna make a distinction when I talk, so that we have a distinction in our language. When I say wealth includes knowledge that you may have, and when I say rich, it includes monetary, materialistic things that you're going to have. That way we're having the same conversation, and we're using my defined words. So wealth can be stuff you have in the head, or your connections with your friends, or your access to resources that you may need, where rich may usually for me refers to materialistic or money. So, which again, I agree 100% with your statement you just said. sometimes having enough is enough, and knowing when you reach that point of having enough and what that actually means to have enough. So in the permaculture world, depending on who you follow, I want to point this out because you're going to see this a lot, especially with people that are brand new to the permaculture world. They're going to come across something called the permaculture principles, the ethics, some may call that. And my phone just almost fell into the water, but luckily it was caught. So the permaculture ethics. So in the permaculture ethics, you're going to see three distinctly different things. You're going to see people care, earth care, and fair share. I like them. I think it's simple. It's a very simple way to refer to them. I think the first two are pretty self-explanatory. People care, genuinely care for the people around you. Earth care, try not to put toxic gick everywhere. Try not to fuck everything up. And fair share, that's the one that I think causes the biggest problem with people, because depending on your mindset, and depending on how, let's give Sylvia some water because she's standing there ready for some water. Depending on how you view important things in life, you may be more leaning on the lefty side. And when you hear fair share, you're thinking we should take from people with an abundance and give to people that don't. And I like to ask you, how is that fair? And I get in this conversation with a lot of my friends that fall into that category. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that there's ways that, I don't like corporatism. I'm not a big fan of things like that, but I don't like stealing money from people. I think, I'm not the government. So since I'm not the government, I don't want to steal money. So that's a fundamental problem I have. So how do we do fair share? And fair share, oh, sorry, Sylvia. I'll show you guys this. You might find this entertaining. So fair share is when, people do their part to equally contribute to the best of their ability. So Sylvia likes drinking from the hose, just like all of us like drinking from the hose. Right, Miss Sylvia? I do always think it's funny how she chews her water. We'll get back to talking about the last permaculture thing in a minute. This watching a pig drink from a hose, far more entertaining. I mean, where else can you find on the internet a pig drinking from a hose live right now? You can't. So she's a thirsty pig. Thirsty pig. Sometimes she'll get up there and she'll bite the whole end of the hose just so she can get a good big drink. You still thirsty? Are you done? Still a little thirsty, I think. Yeah. Still thirsty pig. You good, Miss Sylvia? As you can see, she's starting to get a lot of her fur back in. She knows what's coming. She's got it. She's figured it out. She's got it down. Okay, I think she's done. We will put this back. By the way, guys, if you're wondering, this is coming out of the cistern. My cistern is under there. So my cistern is fed by spring water, and might as well catch rainwater when you got the opportunity. Don't let good rainwater go to. Okay, so back to what we were talking about before we got highly entertained by Sylvia. And that was talking about the fair share in the permaculture world. So depending on your mindset. So how do I view fair share? I view fair share is that people come in and they put in the best of their ability. They try to help out. They try to do whatever they can. Maybe they're a kid. Maybe they're an old person. Maybe they're just someone that's learning for the first time, but they're putting in 100% effort. Maybe not even that 100% effort is that useful for me, but I see them putting in as much effort as they possibly can. That's fair. That is them trying. That is something that I'm rewarding people for. I think that's great. So they deserve part of the yield because they're doing what they're doing to the best of their ability, what they can to survive, what they can to help out, what they can to help me and everybody else thrive. And that's how I interpret the last one. I don't interpret me growing a boatload of apples and then you not growing a boatload of apples and expecting me to give you those apples. I may choose, out of the kindness of my heart, to give you those apples. But don't expect me to give you those apples because I grew the trees, I picked the apples, I collected the apples, I brought the apples to you. And so sometimes in the permaculture world, you're going to see that kind of strong disconnect. And I want to mention that because if you're believing that everything should be given to you because reasons, then you're not going to thrive. You have that rich mindset that you should take. Rich people, take from them. People that are wealthy, take from them. And again, we're referring to wealth as something is a skill. You can't take someone's skill from them. I guess you could take someone's land, but you really can't. It's a lot harder. You're not really the government. So it's a lot harder for you to take someone's land, what they've been doing, their life's work. It's hard for you to take that. Even if you include piracy, it's still hard for you to take skills and stuff from that. So there was that. So other thing. Now, Doc, you're thinking to yourself, I can read all of your minds because you guys are all just figments of my imagination. But you're thinking, Doc, how do I pay my bills? And now that is the important question. And that's one of the things that I'm really gonna start focusing on starting in 2024 is I am going to do some interesting steps and I'm gonna talk you guys through it. I'm gonna show you some of the tricks. I've been spending the last couple months trying to learn ways to generate revenue, to make some projects, to do some things so that I have more things coming in so I can do more outreach programs, I can do more programs, I can help more, I can thrive more, but also without, destroying my anti-work values. And so also we need to clarify what the word work means too. Because when I say work, it might not be the same thing as everybody else. So when I say work, I'm not talking about the grand scheme of work. I'm actually talking about being employed, being a 9-to-5er, being a wage slave. So I think having a purpose is important in getting out there and doing something. I raise animals, I teach people, I go and do outreach programs. I like to dig ditches, I like to dig holes. That's not work, that's a purpose. And when you can find a way to get paid to do a purpose, that's when you're golden, because that's what you should be doing. Because there might be someone that's just like, you know what? I really like cleaning up after people. And I know that sounds silly, but there's people that enjoy that because they get something done and they can accomplish it and they can see the accomplishment they have. Those people are janitors. When those people work as janitors, it's not work, it's a purpose. And so having a purpose that you can fulfill is vitally important. Doing something that is just repetitive, that you're not enjoying doing, and I'm saying you don't have to enjoy your purpose every day, but doing something that you're regularly not enjoying, that you're just angry, that you just have to do things like gossip and be sad all the time, that is the mistake. And that is the trick that the government and the revenuers, they want us to be sad. They want us to work for the machine. They want us to be debt slaves because they don't want us to be able to use our brains to make the world just a little bit better. Because every one of us can make the world just a little bit better if we're not just so tired and angry and broken all the time. Also, by the way, guys, I wanted to point out, I know Mark's watching. I think he's still watching. If you're watching, Mark, want wanted to give you the interesting. So those of you that know I like to biohack. I like to find ways to make my body work better. And I have Mark was so gracious to get me some. I think it's called No Explode. It's for body working out and such like that. And I had the first time today a watermelon, very good. I am noticing lots of extra energy that it gives me. It's if an energy drink is here, it's about here. I didn't really get the tingles that I was expecting, so it's about here. But I do feel good. I feel very vibrant. So I just wanted to point that out for those that might be wondering. You seem a little bit more animated today, so that could be the reason. It hasn't solved the ADD yet. It's definitely not solved the ADD. I don't think it's made it worse. I don't think it's made it better. It's just it's present. So just pointing things out because I think you guys like to know, and I'm trying to, especially with what I plan to do with next year as we come up with business adventures, as we figure out different ways to make money, as I show you ways that I'm going to try to make my life better along with making everybody else around me's life better by showing you just my steps. So we know every time I fail, that's the thing. Every time I fail, we're going to know why I failed, how I failed, and what I did that you guys won't have to do. And those are the things that we're going to focus on. Actually, I gave myself some notes so I could remember other things to talk about. Okay. So, we're going to talk about the first thing that I think is most important about thriving in this current world that we live in and this current surrounding, and things that work very well with my permaculture values and pretty much all my silly values that I have. And that is, you guys are probably familiar with the term farm to table. And you guys know that it's whatever good material you put into your body, because you are what you eat. So the good material that you put in your body, you should expect to feel better and have good things leave your body. So you're eating lots of good things, your brain should be working well, you should be feeling good. But I want to point out something that is always, and I want to say always, always, always overlooked. And what is always overlooked is the fact is you also need to be paying attention to the content that you consume. And this is something that I didn't think a whole lot about for a while, is why is the content that you consume important? And the reason for that is because the more you read and the more you watch and you listen to, it does actually change your thoughts, especially in the evenings, like before you go to bed. And so when you start consuming things that are maybe making you angry or maybe making you feel feels, if you are noticing your dreams, if you're noticing your conversations, if you're noticing everything that's happening to you, and it's starting to be kind of negative, or you're starting to notice that you're just that guy that is not really solving problems, you're just bitching about the problems, then you know you're not going down the right path. So if we have farm to table, I am throwing out the idea is that you should have cheers instead of fears. So I think things should be, you should be happy. You should find the good things. You should find the things that you can solve, the things that either is going to make you cheer, or when you tell people about it, or when you start making things better in the future, people around you are going to cheer. They're going to be like, yeah, you solved that problem. You know, hey, you actually figured out a way. There was this problem A, and I heard everybody complain about this problem, and you helped me figure out a way so I don't have to complain about this problem. And so, cheers instead of fears. So that's the big lesson. It's actually the most important lesson for today, is doing the cheers over fears. And that's where we're going to start with the the first step in how do you monetize your life? How do you make money with just being the best version of you as possible? And I think the first is just be the best version of you possible. Like, show people who you are. Show people what you do. Tell people, like, give them your opinion. Teach something. Everybody here, everybody watching has something that someone else would like to know. There's something bouncing around in your head, that noggin of yours. There's something in there that somebody else would like to learn from you. And there's probably other people that'll pay you for that. Or if they won't pay you for that, they'll trade you for it with some knowledge that they have. And they'll help you. And they'll be like, you know what, buddy? You're cool. I want to help you out. I want to make sure that if you thrive and I thrive, and we all thrive together, then what do we have to bitch about? If everybody's life is just getting better because of actions that we're all taking together, then first off, that's the best way to beat the elite, because that's what the elite don't want. The elite don't want us working together. The elite don't want us figuring out ways to have the coolest version of our life as possible. So one of the stances is with my life. I mean, I live a very different version of life than most of you. Some people would like what I do. Some people would not. And that's what you have to figure out. You have to figure out your version of your perfect life. And it's going to be different for every single person, because some people may love this lifestyle I have. But, some of you don't realize that, my parents live here. So my special needs brother lives here. There is a lot of behind the scenes responsibilities that I have every single day. Like, it would be genuinely really hard for me to have a 9-to-5 where I actually left the farm. There's just a lot of responsibilities, and the responsibilities they're just going to grow. They're just actually going to grow over time. So, right now, life is kind of the simplest it will be. Because, things that I think is important, just as I don't think you should ever send kids to daycare. I think that if you have children, you should be wanting to spend as much quality time with your children. I'm against government schooling. I think government schooling's silly. But if other people think that, I think maybe for some years they should do the government schooling, that's fine. I'm not arguing against, your kid should interact with other kids. But just as I don't like the idea of putting kids in a kid prison where somebody else is raising your kids and teaching them values that you don't like, I also don't think that you should put old people, the folks with wisdom, the folks that have something you should learn. I don't think you should put those type of people in any types of homes. The only reason I would say that they would need is maybe for like a short period of time so that they can get a rehab that you can't offer them. We all don't have all the skills, but I still think there's ways around that too. I think that if you are just figure it out and you think outside the box and stop being part of the machine and start thinking, radically change your paradigm, you can find ways to, like, I'm gonna hire someone, a live-in person, and I'm going to offer them this awesome stuff, and they're gonna come and make sure that grandma gets all of the everything that she needs. So great example is when my grandma was still alive a few years ago, we had sundown. Awesome during the day. Grandma was always night. But in the evenings, she would just sometimes get silly. She would do things like that. Stove on. Grandma was burning everything. But as she got older, we just couldn't run that risk anymore. So, we hired friends that were hired at a family friend, a lady who needed an extra place to live. She moved in with her grandmother. Here. Thank you. The mic fell on the ground and was just hanging out on the ground over there, and that's what happened. Let me move my dreads out of the way. I think my dreads, if you guys want to see, I want to show off them real fast. So I'm going to see my dreads. They're already down to almost my belly button. So, but anyways, let's get these out of the way. I think they're actually causing the issues. So let's get them all tucked up in here. There you go. We'll even tie this up to make it even cooler. I'll be totally cool. Look at this. Totally cool. Like little kid cool. Ooh, that's maybe a little too tight. Okay, better. Okay. Anyways, cool. Okay. So hopefully I won't knock this on the ground again and it won't just sit in the ground. Hopefully it's a good, safe spot. Does it sound good? Let's just say that sounds good. Let's hope. Okay, water. Okay, so what I was saying is so one of our family friends ended up moving in with my grandmother, and she lived there for a while because we need someone there to just watch her, because it wasn't my grandma really needed any extra. She didn't need like really any extra attention. She just needed someone around to make sure. She just needed someone around to make sure that she didn't like set something on fire or wander off and do something silly. So we found a way to make that happen. And that's the kind of out of the box thinking that I want everyone to start. I want you all to start doing. I mean, maybe you can't do it right now, but I want you to start trying to do it, because let's just be honest. When most of you guys do things on the internet, especially if you use Twitter or use Instagram, you're not looking for the stuff that's like normal and common. You're looking for the stuff that's like interesting or maybe controversial or like different. So you should find ways to be interesting, different, maybe a little controversial. Like, have strong opinions and be resolute with your opinions. It's okay to change them. You can change your opinion later. You can be like, you know what? My opinion was kind of wrong. That's okay. You can be wrong. Just be confident and don't hold your opinions don't hold your opinions above who you are. Just have good ones. Have strong good ones that you think are good. If you don't know your opinion, then don't talk about that subject. So that's my advice. I'm not saying it's good advice. It's just my advice. Getting the gas outside done. Okay. Let's refer back to my notes. Yes. Slow your pace down. I say this because the one thing about the hustle culture that I dislike, that I just think is absolutely ridiculous. And the hustle culture is not as bad as what people tend to make it think it is. But one of the things that bothers me about the hustle culture is the fact that they don't program in any type of like rest and relaxation and recharging. Like, it's just go, go, go. And that's just silly. Everything rests. So like, I can't think of anything that's just go, go, go. Some things rest at night. Some things rest at different seasons. It kind of depends on, the situation, but you need to slow your roll. So one of my favorite parables, stories, I don't know what you want to call it, is the Mexican fisherman I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Mexican fishermen, but I will tell the story. It's up there with some of my absolute favorite stories that exist out there. So what the Mexican fisherman is there is a guy sitting on the beach, just laying back on the beach, and he looks over and sees this Mexican guy bringing in these fish, because he was out on his little boat. He just had a nice little boat. He's out fishing, and he's carrying his fish back to his house. And he stopped by the guy and said, "Hey, you wanna buy a fish? I got a couple extra. Would you like to buy it?" And the guy's like, "Nah, I don't need to buy one of the fish, but I'm a super successful businessman, and if you have a few minutes, I'd like to tell you about how I think that you could be super successful." And the Mexican fisherman's like, "Yeah, I'm done for the day. I got the fish. I'll go into town if, maybe I'll sell this to one of my neighbors. And if I don't sell the extra fish to one of my neighbors, we'll just pop it in the freezer and we'll have fish tomorrow. No big deal." So he sits down. The businessman gets him a drink and says, "Okay, so I am this, so I started years ago. I started this paper route, and I turned it into this great big empire. And that's how I can retire here and just relax on this beach. So let me tell you what I think you should do. I think you should take all your fish. You should sell 100% of your fish. Then you should go out and you should buy a bigger boat. Ginormous boat. Hire some friends. Okay? So hire these friends. Start making all this money. Start hiring these friends. Keep expanding. Become the main fisherman of this community. Be the person that everyone knows to. You're selling to everyone. You're selling to all the restaurants. You're selling to the guy over there. You're selling to the guy over there. You and your crew are just doing this. It'll take you a couple years. Maybe it took me, as the gentleman said, I started off as a newspaper boy and built my way up. And, it took me, 30 years. So, but you have a little bit of fishing experience, so it'll take you 20 years. 20 years you can dedicate to this, doing all this work, building up this empire. Then, when you're 50 or 60, you can retire and you can fish for leisure and not have to worry anything about anything." And the Mexican fisherman goes, "Well, but I have everything I need today, and I'm thriving. I got enough fish for my family. We are all happy. My family has everything it needs. I've got an extra fish. I can sell it when I want, and if I don't have to worry about selling it." But the business guy goes, "But think of the money you will have." And the Mexican goes, "But then I have to worry about the taxes, and then the insurance, and then hiring people." He's like, "But you'll be able to retire. You'll be able to retire at 60. And the fisherman goes, "And then I'll just go back to fishing like I'm doing today. So why would I go through all of that excess stress for something I've already found out that works?" And so the moral of the story is, as Lurking is saying there, you don't want to overrun yourself. Yes, it's okay if you've got things out there and you want to get it out to as many people as possible. You should. If you've got a drive in you to get your information out to as many people, you should follow that drive. But if you catch yourself doing things insanely crazy just because you're chasing something that sounds good, maybe you need to rethink that. If you've got your life in line, if you've got your property paid off, if you're thriving, if you're doing things, it's okay to say that it's enough. And that's one of the problems that I think we really have in this current world, is we don't know when to say enough is enough. Now, again, Don't mistaken what I'm saying. Don't mistaken what I'm saying is that you should live in squalor, that you should live in poverty, that you should, not have nice things. Work for those. Do what you need to do to have the quality of life that you think is important. I'm by no means telling you to, go be a lazy bum. But what I'm telling you is don't work yourself to death because you think tomorrow will be better. Definitely save for tomorrow. Definitely have plans for tomorrow. But know what you have saved for tomorrow and make sure that whatever you have saved for tomorrow actually can survive whatever tomorrow has to offer. Me and Lisa talk about this all the time, is never put all your eggs in one basket. So, maybe you own a lot of stock. Well, what happens if the stock market crashes? You're back to nothing. Some people are like, well, I'm saving and have retirement. Well, what happens if retirement doesn't exist? Some people say, well, I've got all this land. Well, what happens if that land becomes unusable? Some people, the one thing, and this is still not a guarantee, but the one thing that I would say is the most useful thing to have is skills and knowledge. So, yes, just like Mark said, live for today, plan for tomorrow. Have skills and knowledge. Have something that makes you valuable. Have something that you can share. So I'm not sure how many of you know I always have tons of plans here, but you guys might not know my final plan. So it's my end goal. And I'm not anywhere close to end goal yet, but it's like end goal. It's like retirement. It's like super retirement plan. It's like, when I'm between, 80 and 120 type plan goal is I want to have a pocket. I want to have a pocket community. If you're not familiar with what a pocket community is, it's just a little community of people that live together. And I guess it's kind of like a commune, except for a commune that's not so, it lacks the cult and the sex stuff. That's why I'm waiting till I'm 80, because, if I tried to do that now, it would totally probably not lack those two things. So probably not be a good idea for me to start, this pocket community now. But start this pocket community, as I retire. And then be able to have it because, the reason I think this is important is because I've noticed, and I'm one of them. So I've noticed that me and a lot of my friends got tricked into not having children. The elite did such a wonderful job of tricking us. And so there's going to be a lot of Xers and some older millennials that are not going to have family. And so that's going to be very sad. And so what we need is we need multi-generational places where we can share our knowledge with the younger folks. And so the younger folks can be around and help us do things that need to be done properly. So the idea is going to be able to share knowledge and share skills. So I'm trying to figure out ways to plan pocket communities so that we can have, is how we can have community that, we can have family, because family is not just blood. Let me explain to you why family is not just blood, because you're going to hear people say blood is thicker than water. And I can tell you that is absolute bullshit. And I can prove to you with a shadow of a doubt that it's bullshit. Let me explain to you how. It's real simple. It's going to be so simple, you guys might be shocked on how simple it's going to be. But how we know that blood is not thicker than water is you don't marry blood. You marry an absolute stranger. The person you marry is someone that you didn't know maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, depending on how old you are. That's some stranger. And you and that stranger decided that you were going to start something awesome together. So what I'm saying is, why can't we have that with just other things? Just a bunch of strangers. They get together and they share awesomeness together. They don't have to, we don't have to have the sex stuff. Because once you get a little bit older, and you've got, cool people that you're used to doing that kind of stuff with, not passing any judgment on anybody's lifestyle. But, you know, there's other things that are just as fun. It's cool to have a circle of friends that you're going to do cool stuff with. And why does that circle of friends all have to be why does all that stuff have to be, you know, with the same thing? And yes, marriage is important, and I'm not undermining marriage at all. Not undermining it at all. But it didn't start off that way. Because at one particular point, one thing that humans did is we used to get together in tribes. We used to be like, you're cool, we work together. Let's put this together. You're going to scratch my back, I'm going to scratch your back. I might be friends with your sister. I might be friends with your mom. And we built a tribe around folks that we weren't necessarily blood relatives to. Okay, here's a great example, Rhythmic. And I'm not arguing with you. I'm adding on to that. I'm adding on to this. So you get married. You are not blood relatives to their parents. But you still care a lot about the parents. You still care a lot about your in-laws. They became part of the family even though there's no blood. And so that's where I think it is important that I think that you can build awesome community with, you know, the blood of thought, with just the idea of being a genuinely good person, surrounding yourself by lots of genuinely good people, and having multi-generational knowledge there. Because one thing I know is I love hearing things that little kids have to say, because they have an outlook on life that is so different, because they're not jaded by our experiences yet. It's actually why it's kind of fun to listen to. It's fun to ask a boomer a question, and then ask an Xer a question, and asking asking all of these different groups of people, asking all these different groups of people a variety of questions and seeing how they answer them. So, and it intrigues me a lot, because depending on your upbringing, just as you're seeing here with me and Rhythmic having completely different conversation about things, but we're not disagreeing on a fundamental level. We're just kind of disagreeing on a minor level. But what makes it so intriguing, and this is why I think having a diversity of thought is so fun, and why I think my concept of blood family, that they don't have to be blood, and we'll get to another point of that in a second, is because you're going to hear things and you're going to be like, you know, there's some really valid points in that. Or there might be other people, it's like, you know what? This is why we actually do need to have, you know, multiple tribes or multiple clans, because while there's a little bit difference of thought, it's good to have that thought be separated so that each party can foster it in their own way. So going back to Rhythmic's point about the clans, so my personal belief is that we're all brothers and sisters. We are all children of Source. So we're all the children of a great programmer. And so we are all actually already all blood. So some of us just do some things that annoy us. But in general, we're all just blood. So thank you for the links. By the way, guys, if you're interested in following all these links that he posted there, everything on the Discord, everything here will also be displayed in the chat section on the Discord, which is discord.gg/xDrFirefly. And so if you need access to these links, you want to check out this kind of stuff, if you go over there and you go under the chat section, you will see that you can click on the links that anybody shares. If you want to check out and read more about this later, because it's good to not just think everything that I say makes sense. It's good to listen to others' thoughts, because I enjoy diversity, extreme diversity of thought, even in situations where I don't always agree. But so that's how I view things, and so that's why I view us all as children of the Creator, of Source, of my belief system. And I also want to practice what I preach. And practicing it is being able to those, when the future comes, and those that have been tricked by the machine, and those that have been tricked by the machine and tricked, I want to make sure that instead of letting them get thrown away and letting bad things happen to them, I want to make sure that there is places that they can go to. And I'm working on ideas, and that's what's interesting is, so a lot of the ideas that I'm building, so building the the lab here where we're going to teach people how to do sustainable house building. Part of that sustainable house building is so that in the future there's houses for people to stay in. As we build these communities, as we learn these skills are having multiple things. We're thinking about today, and today is building, how do we build a house? But we're also planning for tomorrow. Who's going to be living in this? Who's going to be living in these structures in the near future? Because other people, not just me, may want to take this idea and say, you know what? I see Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally, just never got married. Aunt Sally never had kids, but Aunt Sally's really fun. And I don't necessarily want to live in the house with Aunt Sally, but I wouldn't mind having Aunt Sally around, especially, Aunt Sally has similar views that I do, and maybe Aunt Sally would be perfect to watch the children when, you and your significant other want to go on a fancy date. And so having Aunt Sally close is, I think, is our responsibility. And I say our responsibility, and I'm saying our responsibility as men who understand what's happening, is we should be taking care of all of the women and all of the ignorant that we can. It's easy to be angry and say, that motherfucker over there, he deserves bad things to happen to him because, he voted for this particular candidate, and so he deserves all the bad things that he got because he voted for that particular person. And maybe he just doesn't know yet. People's like, oh, you can't, there's no way you can't know by now. Dude, you don't know. I'll just put it this way. You don't realize what's happening in a lot of people's minds. There's so much stress. I can tell you in the last year and a half, a stress that I have not experienced before, things that I did not think that I thought I'd handle in completely different ways, and ways I thought I was handling, situations I thought I'd handling great. And I look back and I'm like, dude, I was sad. I just did not handle that the way I should have. And so I have a lot more compassion for folks that are just like, maybe they're just overworked, or they're overstressed, or life is just beat the hell out of them. And so it's funny. As I'm coming back out of this melancholy that I've been in for a while, this funk that's like taking me down, I'm realizing like there's a lot more people in it than I had any idea. And we're just damn good at hiding it. And so at this particular point, instead of being angry at people, and I'm even talking about like angry at the people that are yelling at you, angry at the people that are just like telling you that you're bad, like I think that they're just yelling at you because you're the easiest person for them to yell at, because who they really want to talk to is themselves or their family or the people that they gave trust into that broke that trust. And so now they're coming after you because it's just easy. By the way, guys, right there, if you are interested in the replays, you guys can check out the replays there. And so, yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting. So, but that we're over here now, and we meant to be like here talking about how to thrive and build knowledge wealth, and to find ways to thrive and not have to be part of the machine. So one thing that I was realizing that maybe we should start doing is, I hate taxes. We all know I hate taxes. I'm anti-taxes. Right or wrong, some of you guys may think taxes, thanks. Some of you may think that taxes are important, and that's cool. Like, I'm okay with voluntarily paying for something. I just don't like when it's taken from me. So, so let's just, we have that baseline there. kind of anti-taxes. But I do think there's ways that we can get around this. I think, what if, like we were talking earlier, what if we found better ways to trade with other people? Not just strangers. I'm not talking about trading with strangers. Money's designed for the strangers. I'm talking about, like, how can we trade amongst our friends? How can we trade amongst our family members? How can we trade amongst those in our community, where we can have it set up where the government just doesn't have to be involved? Because we are, regardless of if you like it or not, you can like it or dislike it, it doesn't matter, because it's reality. We are moving to a cashless society. I was reading some stuff about where Australia is going. I just watch everyday people and just how easy it is to just not use cash anymore, to use, a little piece of plastic or a phone, and then just every bit of everything that you do is being tracked, traced, collected, documented. So, exactly, rhythmic. It is always, I am the same. It is important. All types of that kind of stuff. But I will also say, what I'm talking about is the exchange of services as well. Like, maybe you need a fence done. Well, why not you work out a pack with some of your friends? You're like, you know what? We're gonna come over and work on your fence, and then, like, maybe next week you guys are gonna come over and work on mine. And we're just gonna, not only if you're doing stuff like that, not only are you gaining skills from helping your friends, maybe you're learning a new way to do a fence, or maybe you're just doing I don't know, I like digging ditches, okay? Oh, okay. By the way, guys, if you have not seen bitriver.tv, check bitriver.tv out. I also, my farm and me, I stream over that way, guys. It's a cool alternative to a lot of the streaming sites. So I don't have chat. I don't have chat enabled today because I've been having problems with the chat on multiple sites. So right now we're just doing a restream chat, but in the next week or so, the chat will be working. Actually, I think the chat's working on there with my Mavis Pharmacy. If you guys go over there and you type in Mavis Pharmacy, you'll see the chat come across the mainstream, the Mavis Pharmacy on those. But I digress. So we just need to figure out ways to stick it to the man, change the paradigm. And so that's part of the reason why we're here is I want you guys to rethink the idea of being rich and rethink the idea of, like, here's a good way to put it. If all your bills are paid, okay, you don't have any bills anymore. Everything's paid for. Your house is paid for. Your cell phone's paid for. You just have your typical everyday thing. Let's say, thank you so much for the ice cream. All your stuff is paid for. Everything is good to go. And you have $1 million. You can do anything you want with this $1 million. You don't have to put that $1 million towards anything now because everything's good to go. What would you do with it? That's the question I'd like you to sit down and think. I want you to really, really sit and think about that. What would you do with that? So, and things you might do with that. What would I do with that? And the outreach programs that I would be able to do, the people that I would be able to reach. I'd be able to go down to some of these hollers. I'd be able to go out to the folks, some of my friends that I really just want to show how to do certain things. I'd be able to go over to them, and we'd be able to do hands-on projects. We'd be able to get all the supplies. We'd get to fail at trying to build something. We could try some rocket mass heaters. Like, let's see if we can perfect the rocket mass heaters. We could go and, like, Mock's printing me a bee box right now because we're doing some experiments with bees next year. We'd be able to print out bee boxes and say, hey guys, let's all try to raise some bees. So, with that, there's so much cool stuff I could do. And I think about that. Now, I don't have $1 million, but how can I still live like that? How can I still live with the wealth of $1 million? Okay, so I can't buy you guys a bee box. I can't buy you guys all this kind of stuff. But what I can do is we can talk about it. Like, okay, you know what? Here's some cheap ways to make a bee box. Why don't you guys try this? Let's see what happens. We can still share the knowledge in our head. We can share some stuff. Maybe you're just like, you know what? I got an extra X amount of dollars. Doc, come over to my house. Let's see if we can figure that out. And so that's how I look at the $1 million is, what would you do with it? Because And let's say in your head, you're just like, oh no, I'd buy a new car and I'd buy a new house. And that's cool. So let's fast forward. Let's say now you don't need to buy a new car. You don't need to buy a new anything. You're just fine. You're thriving. That money that you has is reached its pinnacle. It's not buying you anymore. What are you doing next? And that's the question I want. That's the question that I'm asking. It's not about the money. It's about what you're going to do. Now, if this is a really fun experiment. I just recently learned this, and I'm trying to understand this. So there's a handful of people here. I'd like some of you guys to participate in this question before I answer it myself. So, so here's my question. When you think of money, what's your first gut instinct? So if you guys like some of you guys can tell me in the chat. When you think of money, what is your first gut instinct? What's the first thing that comes to mind? How does it make you feel? I want feels. That's what I want. I'm actually the question about feels. You hear money, what's the feels? Because I've learned that there's some really interesting psychology around how you feel when you hear and you think about money right now. So, Rhythmic brought up a good point. Rhythmic talked about having another child. So he sees money as future security and future means. So both of you, Mark sees it as work. So we've got two folks that are viewing money as things that are going to make the future better, as storage. Now me, I have a negative reaction. I have a negative relationship with money. Which is actually something I've realized. Okay, so Louis Lurk has opportunity. So far, he has a very positive, and him and Rhythmic both have very positive direction towards money. Me, I actually have a negative. That is actually part of my problem. I'll let you guys know. If you have a negative reaction to money, that's actually not necessarily a good thing, because money isn't good or bad. Money is literally just lubrication. It's just a means of exchange. It just makes the means of exchange easier so that we don't have to spend as much time. It's just automation. It's automation of labor is all money is. It's just a way to hack the system a bit. Now me, I have a negative reaction. I don't like money. I just don't. Like when I think money, I think like I have negative thoughts to it. I'm just like, I don't want to bother. It's bad. Like I'd like to just get rid of it. That's not helpful. I'm stating this because there's a lot of people that have that. So, yeah, your goals, I agree with that, Rhythmic. I think your goals are where you should derive satisfaction. Personally, I like to refer to more of that as like your legacy, what your purpose is. But goals fall into that same category as what we're talking about. Goals, purpose. Let's go get some bunny food because the bunnies are hungry. So I agree, and these are important things that we need to have. And again, everybody's going to have a slightly different relationship with it. Me, I don't really want a relationship with it. I do not like the idea, like thinking if I ever, but like I think about being Elon Musk rich, and it sounds absolutely horrid. I would never, ever, ever want that much money. Like I don't want so much money that I'm stressed. That just sounds terrible. So I think lurking. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, Rhythmic. I think that both things at some particular point you are done with. You have, like, people sell their businesses. At a particular point, you're going to sell your business. At a particular point, you can advise your children and you can give your children further advice, but when it comes to raising, you're done. They have, and I don't know what age that is. It could be 16, it could be 20, it could be once they have their own children. But I think raising them at a particular point, you no longer are raising them, you're just advising them. And I think that there is a distinct difference between that. The same thing with a business. At a particular point, your business gets to a particular level where you're just advising now. Your business has reached where it's going to be, and it's if you are the only one still doing it, it's going to get stale. It's going to get boring. It's going to not be able to innovate because, unfortunately, as humans, we like stability, and we will retard things just to make sure they don't change in ways that they need to. And again, all of us are guilty of that at some particular point. We all really don't want anything to change. We want them to stay as normal as possible. But in reality, everything changes. Trees change, the soil changes. Everything has to adapt and learn and things of that. Okay. Oh, okay. I see where you're coming. I see you're coming with that, Rhythmic. Yes. I just I don't know. It's interesting. We have such we currently live in such a materialistic world, and there's good and bad to being in a materialistic world. And I don't think a lot of us think about that enough. We're easily, and I'm guilty. So when I say we, please understand, I'm saying we as in I'm including myself into this mix, so that so you guys understand that it's hard for everyone. But we're so easily tricked into thinking that the latest, hottest, fastest, coolest, prettiest, smartest, shiniest thing is what we need, or it's what we have to have. When in reality, like, it's cool to find the tools. And have the tools to make life easier and better, but making sure that that's why we're utilizing those tools. Barky bark, bark, bark. Okay, I'm gonna head over here and get these guys fed. Guys, got some bunnies in here. Then we gotta go feed Cindy. So, okay, let's roll back just a little bit. It's really, we're going off on some tangents that are not as valuable as I want to stick with. So, first, let's throw some real information here. So what can you do? What should you do? So if you're young, and I don't know what young means to anyone. So if you're young, you should try not to get in debt, first and foremost. Getting in debt's stupid. It's one of the most ridiculous things. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I wish it didn't happen. You should try not to get in debt to the best of your ability. Try not to get in debt. Go without before you get in debt, or do the best you can of going without before you're going in debt. Next, figure out what your priorities are. What do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? What's something that's important to you? And that can be different, and that's different for all of us. So now that you've got those foundations, you're not going to be in debt, and you have something important that you want to do. Why aren't you doing it? What excuse are you giving yourself to not do it? So, and you have one. You have an excuse. We all have excuses. I'm awesome at my excuses. My excuses are really good, and they convince myself very, very well on why I'm not doing things. So now you think about your excuse, and if that excuse was coming from one of your friends, how would you call that friend out? What would you say to that friend? Like, dude, I know you want to do this awesome thing. Why aren't you doing this awesome thing? So now the excuse might be legitimate. You're just like, okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, that sucks. Didn't realize it was at that particular point. But what you can do is start out with baby steps. Something tiny. Take one little step today or tomorrow or the next day or next Wednesday. So, and how can you make that step a little bit better? So my advice I give most kids. Okay, it's a little harder today. It's a little harder today than it was a couple years ago, but this is going to change really soon. But my advice today is the one thing that most everybody wants is land. You want access to a house. You want access to something like that. So my advice today is as soon as you can afford a piece of land, even if that means you and your friends are buying the land together, even if it means that you are finding, even if it's just not the ideal piece of land, but you just having a piece of forgot to give those guys some food. Having a piece of tangible land is a good first step. So now, if you're going to want to live in the city your entire life, if you want to travel, you want to be a digital native, then maybe this advice isn't for you. But most of the people that I talk to, they actually want to, they want to own something. They want to have some land, maybe have some animals, maybe build a house. So first bit of advice is get some land. Have yourself a little chunk of land. Now with that chunk of land, you're going to do a handful of things. You're going to figure out ways to practice future things. So that might be growing some crops. It might be raising some animals. It might be building a structure. It might be planting trees. This first chunk of land is for you to practice on. It's for you to figure stuff out. It's for you to have something there that you can look back on. That you can remind yourself, I did that. That was me. I invested time, knowledge in making something work. So, and again, remember, I'm not talking like 30 acres. I'm not talking like 50 acres. I might be talking like a quarter acre someplace. I might be talking like the pillbox in the desert. I'm just talking something for you to give a shot. Maybe you can't even afford that piece of land, but you have an uncle, a grandpa, a friend that'll let you mess around with their land and do something like that. That's okay too. That counts. I'm willing. That's thinking outside the box. Trip. You want my okay. So actually, we're gonna swap subjects here because I do want to add rhythmic. Is there a reason you want to catch that raccoon? I'd like the reason first, and then I'll give you my opinion after that. Because sometimes it might not be best. That raccoon could actually benefit you in its location more than you think it's hurting you. So why do you want to trap this raccoon? Like, what is this trash panda doing that is making it so that you making it so your life is worse? So that's the first question. We'll go with this. Trash panda tips with Doc. Telling you all about trash pandas. So okay, it threatens your cat and steals the food. Well, stealing the food is It's just what trash pandas do. Threatening your cats. Okay, now we fall into a category of something we should think about. So, if you want the most humane way to capture it, just buy an animal, a large animal trap. It's a I'll show you what I have a little one. I'll show you what a little version looks like in just a minute. And get a big version of that. Put some peanut butter or something in that and catch that trash panda. And well, the best advice I can give you is don't take it out to a local park and accidentally release it. Yeah, don't do that. Because they don't really like when you do that. But if for some reason you are taking it for a walk in its cage out at a park and it opened the door and ran away, I mean, there's nothing you could do about that. That trash pandas just being trash pandas. So you already have the trap. Peanut butter is awesome. Peanut butter works really well. So I will warn you. If you got one trash panda and that trash panda goes away, another trash panda might show up. So you might want to figure out how you're feeding your backyard lion, and maybe so I just want to show you this. I'm going to grab this. For those that might not know what a live trap looks like, I have a little live trap in here. So here is a little live trap. You guys can see how this yeah, cut up apples with peanut butter. Or whatever the trash panda is eating, just put it. So let's say you have a big version of this. So you got a big version of this. So the animal goes crunch, 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 crunch here, hits this. Well, it helps if I actually set this up right. But anyways, what that does is if you have this set up the way it's supposed to be set up, not the way I set it up, it closes like that. So fix this trap. So yeah, but I don't advocate killing raccoons unless they have rabies, because raccoons are actually too net positive for communities. They actually do a lot of good. They actually clean up a lot of dead things. Oh, he's a good sized trash panda. That's cool. I like big trash pandas. They're fun. So as long as they don't got rabies, they're not really anything to bother you. They're just little dudes. So just little versions of little brown bears. Just happy little guys. I like to talk to them. So anyways, there you go. So I set it up right this time. So you got the little guy goes in here. He hits that. And as you guys see, this closes. I'll show that again. So yeah, I'd like to see a picture. I like pictures of trash pandas. So unfortunately, Ariel, my skunk, and my trash panda are gone. I think it's the reason I got the rats. Okay, so I want to show you. So he goes dot 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 dot, and then it closes, and then so. Yeah, you know, my trash panda was pretty cool. Like, he didn't really mess with too many. He occasionally eat like smelly eggs and stuff like that, but he wasn't a bad dude. He was pretty chill. I liked him. And his name was Ricky, I believe. I don't know what Lisa named him. Let's say Lisa named him Ricky. So he was cool. Now we got the rats that are just annoying. So, by the way, guys, I want to show you. I deployed the rat coffee house. So let's spin the camera. Coffee house. So there is so there is the There's the rat coffee house. So there's a side entrance here and a back entrance here, and inside is the rat latte milk that will help make them so they can't have babies. Because I decided that I needed to play since I'm now Doc Fauci in here, and so I just needed to make sure that they could no longer have rat babies. So had a good conversation with Bill Gates, and we talked about how to lower the carbon footprint of the rats in here. And the best way to lower the carbon footprint was to help the poor rats thrive by having no more babies. And so over time, as the rats can't have more babies, that means that the rats will no longer. And I didn't say I killed them. I didn't genocide. No rat genocide. I did not kill them. No rat concentration camps. Nothing like that. Even though Zig Hell really wanted, the bunny was just ready. He was ready for it. He was ready for it to invade rat Poland. But I said, nah, now we need to do it the humane way. So inside the rat lattes is rat hormones that sterilizes the male rats and the female rats. So I'll give you guys updates on how well this works. But that is the rat coffee house. So, by the way, I do think rats are cute. I just don't think they're that cute anymore. Like, they're cute-ish. I just wish they were cute somewhere else. So we're just, we're just practicing. We're just practicing a little bit of helping the rats out. But anyways, we'll keep you guys updated. I'm actually gonna, I think me and Lisa talked about it. I think it would be fun. We're gonna make that look like a little coffee house. Put some little chairs in the front, little rat chairs. So, oh, it'll work. It'll work. I'm positive. The vibes of it will work. I can just feel it. It just feels like a good idea. It's permaculture-ish as well, because I don't have to feel like I'm not poisoning the world. I'm not destroying the rest of the world. And me and Mox talked about some other ideas. I'm gonna in about a month or so, I'm gonna deploy the super rat hideaway. I don't know. I don't have a name for it yet, but pretty much it's a giant bucket. It's a big trash can. The rats will get in and eat some peanut butter and not get back out. And then I can take those rats to the faraway lands and release them in the faraway lands, and they can go live in faraway. I will tell you though. So you might be wondering. You guys know. Most of you guys know that I don't kill things. You know that I don't practice. I don't practice killing things. But the problem with the rats, and I can tell you the biggest problem with the rats, and this is where TV can sometimes just be messing with us. So the biggest problem I have with the rats is, I don't know if you guys have seen Secret of Nim. Okay. Secret of Nim. The main rat in the Secret of Nim was named Justin. That was the first time I've ever seen my name used in a TV when I was a kid or anything, so it was cool. Anyways, I keep thinking about it. Every time I see these stupid rats, I keep thinking about the Secrets of Nim. And it just, so, yeah. But as a pacifist, I don't want to kill things because that's sad. But I do think about that. And so find ways to humanely get rid of the rats, because, no more rat babies, maybe no more rats, because these rats are dumb. Like, let me tell you how dumb these rats are. I just want to get this down, just how dumb one of these rats are. So I was feeding everybody yesterday. Yeah, that's actually very close to what I'm going to do. So it's down there feeding the rats. Okay, it's down here feeding the chickens, and this rat, this just stupid little rat, he's got all these scars on him. That's how I know he's a dumb rat. So got all these scars on him. He goes down and he walks between the ducks. So, I don't know if you've seen my ducks. My ducks are I've had tons of them, a lot of male drakes. This rat just walks into the middle of them. I don't know what he was thinking. Okay. These ducks are pecking him. He's just pulling chunks of flesh and hair out of this rat. And the rat's just sitting there eating. And I'm just like, dude, too many video games for you, rat. Just sitting there getting chunked out. So this 3rd generation or 4th generation of rats that we have here, man, they are dumb. They are like Tide Pod eating rats. So, the rat zoomers, man. Just don't know what to think, man. But anyways, no, they're to the point where the one rat, I don't like, I was over here. I could just pet it. Like it's eating and I'm just like petting the rat. And I'm like, dude, you're lucky I'm a good human because most other humans would be like, dead rat. It's what I should do, but I'm not going to. You just know that. So I think the rats know that too. So it's a shame. So now rat hormone into the rat. So, you know, rat birth control. So rats can party all they want and go to their frat parties. They can just do that rat thing and then no more baby rats. And then pretty much what they're doing to us here right now, you know, convincing us not to have babies. This is me just telling the rats they're not having babies. So rat lives don't matter. So yeah, sooner or later there's gonna be no more white rats. Anyways, I was really subject over here. Let's go. So no plagues here. Nah, everything's good. The big perk of me raising everything the way I do is animals are pretty healthy here. They have a lot of good things to eat. I don't use crappy pesticides. The perk of doing permaculture is that all of the wild stuff becomes food that I could eat or other people could eat or my animals can eat or other things like that. So that is the perk of living a clean life and trying to have as many clean environmental things, keep the toxic gick at an absolute, like, I mean, personally, I want to keep the toxic gick at 0. We can't always do that. So keep the toxic gick at as low as possible. And that way you don't spread those crazy diseases, because a lot of that problem with the crazy diseases and all that kind of stuff is because we as humans, we think in our infinite wisdom that we can do something better than nature. And so like we cause the additional problems by thinking that, you know, oh, well, we're going to give all these rats, you know, all this crazy stuff. When in reality, you know, it's just we mess things up because, you know, Mother Nature knows a lot better than we do. And so we try to make something that's just not what we should be making. So yeah. I mean, you are in Colorado. I'm guessing that they probably injected those rats with the plague just so they could see if they can make a transfer to humans. It just sounds like something the bad people would do. It sounds like what the elite would do. Using nature, you know, tricking us into thinking that rats are bad. So, yes, exactly. City rats get disease from us, you know, and then they spread it back to us, and then we get angry, and then we just talk about all the bad things when in reality it's our silly things are doing silly things. So let's the rat genocide and bad rats, and let's just take a nice peek at just another beautiful day. A little chilly today. Another beautiful day here, southern West Virginia. Quiet. We had two hard frosts. Most of the bugs are gone. I can hear a couple bugs. A couple guys are still holding out. A couple holdouts. That's okay. Nothing wrong with some rats. Nothing wrong with a couple bug holdouts. Actually, I like it. It's a good thing to have a few bugs left over, the good winter bugs. So it'll be interesting. My hayfield is my hayfield's going to be super interesting since I didn't get a chance to really cut it this year. So I mean, you can. I would warn you though, you probably can't discharge a firearm at your house. So Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Louis, which, if you don't want, if you don't mind sharing, what states do you live in? And I'll point at where you're my neighbor. So if you're in Virginia or North Carolina, you're that way. If you're in Virginia, you're that way. If you're in Maryland, you're that way. If you're in Ohio, you're that way. If you're in Kentucky, you're that way. And if you're in Tennessee, you're that way over the hill and that way. And if you're, Pennsylvania, let's see, Pennsylvania, New York, that would mean that you are about that way. So I'm going to leap over Maryland. So we're going to go that way, leap over Maryland, and then you're over that way. So I'll wave to you. So it'll take you a little while for that to reach you, but Rhythmic, if for some reason you do want to kill that, there is some really cool air rifles like that look like real guns that are real cheap, that do an awesome job. Especially let's say a raccoon, you need at least 23 foot-pounds. Would for sure do it, if you want to do that. But then you got to clean up mess and then you got to do shit with it. It just seems like a lot of work. You're going to attract other animals in to eat the dead thing. So just catch it and don't release it in a park. Or don't release it in your neighbor's yard. Or don't release it someplace that you shouldn't release it. Just, catch it and tell it lives over there now. This is not advice from Doc. I mean, it is, but you don't have to listen to me. So I think killing things is just way too much work. So I like, I don't know if you guys can see this part this time of year, is you guys can see how it's super shady here. This does the way I planted these trees, it makes this really nice, like, shady path. And it's just, it's very fun. So I know my battery's running low, so we're heading back to the house now. It looks like I can, for about 100, for like, if I have 100% charge on my phone that's a couple years old, because that's, I'm using an LG Velvet, for those that might be wondering. Yeah, we had an inch of snow last night. There's still some remnants. I'll show you some remnants of snow right there, but the ground is still really, really warm, like very warm soil. So there's kind of like the leftover remnants of the snow. I'll show you on the car up here. We still have a little, nope. Well, I think my phone is going to die, so you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. It's Doc. Adios. And if it's not dead yet, I don't know because the camera's turned off. But we're going to walk up to the house and assume that it's dead. So, it's not quite dead yet. We're almost dead. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go because my phone is definitely going to die because if it cut out to that particular point. But anyways, thanks guys for watching. If you guys like this kind of stuff, you guys, it's X Dr. Firefly just about everywhere but Instagram, which is X Dr. Firefly 37. Check out there in the link below if you guys want to support. There's a hat and such like that. Otherwise, have a